Good morning. Welcome to the fourth hour of the Greg Belfrage Show. It's great to have you guys along. Thanks so much for being here. Hit that like button, makes a big difference. Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, talking about the editing of Google headlines. I shared that story. This was a story that was trending yesterday that the Kamala Harris campaign has been taking USA Today stories, CNN stories, and creating these, these Google ads. You likely have seen them, and the headlines are like totally pro Kamala Harris. What the Harris campaign has done, they've changed those headlines. Those are not the actual headlines that appeared on CNN and USA Today and all of these other places. And I was joking a bit about it on the air. That to me is just so amazing that it's news to all of these people in the news business, right? They're just shocked to find out that that's what's that's what's going on. So Donald Trump now reacting to this, and he says the campaign of Kamala Harris is actually breaking the law by spreading misinformation through these Google ads. And I was working, as we've talked about it on the radio show. It was a story that was reported by Axios. It was Axios that reported it. Again, it wasn't CNN that said, hey, wait a minute, that wasn't our actual story. It wasn't USA Today. It wasn't any of these legacy media, power players who found it. It was Axios. So Donald Trump on True Social said Kamala Harris team and Google caught manipulating headlines and stories, creating fake news. This is not legal, he said. So companies such as The Guardian, Reuters, CBS News, the Associated Press, PBS, all affected. There were a number of others. And so what the Harris campaign has been doing is editing the news headlines and descriptions, but Axios said it wasn't immediately clear whether the text then accompanying that was that part of the actual news story, so on. So the Trump campaign is not running those types of ads. But this technique does not violate Google policies. The question is, should it? Donald Trump saying it's illegal, whether or not that's actually true. He's saying it's not legal, but it certainly ought to violate Google's policies. And the Google said, well, yeah, but those ads on search, those are labeled as sponsored. And when you go on there, yeah, you can see it's sponsored, but that, here's the headline and here's the little indication that it's actually sponsored. So how many people actually see that it's actually sponsored? So they are Donald Trump reacting to it. I thought it was, again, I'm not surprised because honestly, the media lies. The media lies. Google, I think, is one of those companies that's right up there, big tech, big media. It's all the same kind of, they're all frat brothers and sisters and all engaged in the same kind of, untruths, misleading people, misrepresenting people. And it always amazes me how much the Democrats then talk about this. And you have people in the media talking about, and it's not just in this country, actually. You see this happening, unfortunately, over in the UK and where they are accusing then their political opponents of being engaged in misinformation. And can we go a day without Karine Jean-Pierre at the White House during a press briefing talking about, misinformation that's out there, so on? It's just a tool of the left. It's what it's become. And so Donald Trump reacting to that. So now the Washington Examiner's got a piece. So we talk about these Google search ads. Um, Democrats are using Google search ads to falsify news headlines. That's going beyond just the campaign of Kamala Harris. So, in other words, it's not just the Kamala Harris campaign. This appears to be a strategy by Democrats beyond the Harris campaign who are involved in this. So, the campaigns of two Democrat candidates for Senate and the campaign arm of Senate Democrats have used Google search ads in the past year to manipulate news headlines and article descriptions that are presented to you. So as you're out on the internet and you see those things, they're being misrepresented. The Washington Examiner did an analysis and reveals then it was Alyssa Slotkin, Democrat from Michigan, Adam Schiff. Oh, what a shock. I'm surprised that Adam Schiff uh, used the tactic this year against their GOP opponents, promoting real news links, but with the previews displaying alternate headlines and subtext. So those stories, it's a real news link, but what you are seeing is not coming from CNN or it's that's pretty amazing. So you've got a number of Democrat campaign and against the Democrats who employ those kinds of tactics, Democrats who are doing that. Also, I saw this morning and didn't get a chance to mention it on air. If you know who Gina Rowlands is, Gina Rowlands, she was the star of The Notebook, number of other movies and shows as well. She died at the age of 94 yesterday. She had a battle with Alzheimer's. So, representatives for her son had revealed her diagnosis earlier this year. So she died yesterday at her home in California. TMZ says she was surrounded by loved ones. So her late husband was one of the, and as well as her, they were pioneers in the independent film industry. They made 10 movies together, including a number of different movies. But she was nominated for 2 Academy Awards during her career. A Woman Under the Influence, you might remember from 1974, and also Gloria from 1980. So anyway, Gina Rowlands has died at the age of 94. Did not get a chance to mention that this morning. Did you happen to catch the Rachel Gunn performance at the at the conclusion of the Olympic Games? And it was pretty incredible. Breakdancing now was an Olympic sport this year, and there's been a lot of reaction to her performance that she did at the conclusion. This was during the closing ceremonies of the Olympics. So now, get a load of this. Australians are signing a petition to hold Rachel Gunn and Anna Mears accountable for unethical conduct after that, because of that debacle that it's presenting their country, others from the country in a negative light. So there are some who say, applauding her, hey, this was a dream of hers, doing it her own way, and but so on. But that is not the feeling. It's a petition at change.org. So I don't put too much credence in a lot of these. There are a lot of petitions at change.org. It's created by an account, it was created by an account called Someone Who Hates Corruption. calling for immediate action and accountability in this. So the petition then argues that the inclusion of Gunn and the green lighting of her performance at the games raises serious concerns about the integrity of the selection procedure. So the whole thing was just it has been mocked by the late night shows in this country. And so the controversy is not over. They said, we demand a public apology from Rachel Gunn for misleading the Australian public and attempting to gaslight the public and undermining the efforts of genuine athletes, which it kind of did. I mean, seriously, that performance, did you see it? And I watched some of that, and the reaction from somebody I had seen on X was like, reminds me of my young child who comes and tells everybody, hey, come watch this. Come watch this. You got to see this. And then they did. I thought that's a pretty good description, actually, of what we witnessed. Pretty amazing. So Australians are not happy about it, and they've launched a petition at change.org. If you want to sign the petition, that's where you'll do it. This caught my eye over at the Outkick. Outkick has got a piece. Are you a fan of the Cracker Barrel? I'm not. Last time I was at Cracker Barrel, I had a call screener, Brownie, who was my first call screener and is really a great guy. And Brownie continues to follow me on Facebook, and you'll see me interacting with Brownie Mark Brown is his name, every now and then, just affectionately called him Brownie. And a great guy. He loved the Cracker Barrel. And he made it, he talked about it. I wouldn't say frequently. He talked about it often. Talked about going to the Cracker Barrel and loving the Cracker Barrel. So this caught my eye over at the Outkick. Cracker Barrel remodel. So they've remodeled, leaves customers fuming. And I thought, okay, outrage. I'm always attracted to outrage. And sometimes I go, what? What's the outrage? I mean, there's no outrage here. But this interests me. And who is this piece by? Zach Dean. Zach Dean over at Outkick said, for some reason, the geniuses over at Cracker Barrel have decided to raise prices at certain locations and remodel others. And then he goes on to talk about it. He said, I love Cracker Barrel. Don't get me wrong. Love it. Just feels like home when I walk in. Grandpa's breakfast, the best. But I'm not obsessed with it. Some folks are, and they're fuming this morning at this video. And this video then that people have posted of the remodeled crackpot and what they're doing. And and some are just angry as hell about the changes at Crackpot. And so I will tell you, I went to Crackpot. Katie and I went because I love good breakfast. I love a good breakfast. I really do. And I think the best breakfast I have found in Sioux Falls is not at the Cracker Barrel. It's not. Katie and I went there and we walked out of there, and I can kind of tell she will, I had suggested it. So she went, and it was kind of early in our relationship. So she didn't say anything. And afterward, she was pretty quiet afterward. And you kind of get that feeling that, well, okay, I'm not sure that was, and I didn't like it. I didn't think it was good. And I said that. I said, I'm sorry. I don't think that was very good breakfast. And then she started it on it. No, then she knew, okay, doors open. She could share her honest thoughts with me. God love her. I think she would have just kept it to herself. But it turned out she didn't like it either. And honestly, we've never been back since because there are other places in Sioux Falls where you can get a great breakfast. And I've seen some of you there actually when I go in and frequent on a Saturday morning, Saturday, Sunday morning, go in to have a good breakfast. Yeah, Cracker Barrel is not one of my favorites. So apparently, folks are, one said, looking at some of the reactions on X, congratulations, you've turned it into an IHOP. Another, uh, it's like two lesbians purchased a horse ranch and got wine drunk to redecorate. Wow, people are cruel. Dan Evans is barrel rolling in his grave. So there's just a lot of reaction to the remodel of the Cracker Barrel, and that hasn't happened at all locations. Whether it has locally or not, I don't know. I have to ask Brownie as to whether or not they have redecorated. I want to touch just briefly on some of the other headlines. We touched on some of these this morning. This is Politico. Let's go to Politico. What's the headline this morning? Wall Street weighs the Harris agenda as her momentum surges. I have a really hard time understanding where that momentum for Kamala Harris is coming from. Where was that momentum coming from? That is, if it's true, don't know that it is. The media is certainly saying, hey, look at this. And you're seeing that in the polls. Not that I trust any of these polls. The New York Times, Siena College, seriously, please give me a break. I don't trust any of them. So, grocery price gouging to feature prominently in the economic plan of Kamala Harris, says Politico. We talked about that on the show a little bit this morning. Bipartisan push for family-friendly policies gains momentum. A bipartisan push. You know what that usually means? 100 Democrats and one Republican. That's usually the definition of bipartisan. And you never hear me use that term on the air anymore. Bipartisan. Truly bipartisan would be, somewhere where you've got a significant number of Democrats and a significant number of Republicans. We just don't see that. We just don't. Bipartisan push for family-friendly policies. So this is interesting. J.D. Vance has floated the idea of more than doubling the child tax credit. Kamala Harris has repeatedly called for both that benefit and paid leave on the campaign trail. So what Kamala Harris is saying on the campaign trail and what her actual policies will be, I don't think they have anything to do with each other. I don't believe for a moment that she is like the tax on tips. We're going to eliminate the tax on tips. Picking that up from Donald Trump, trying to make it her own. And I do not for a minute believe that if she actually wins, that she would do that. Not for a moment. Don't believe it. She can say it all she wants. But we've got a number of people who are into this. And I talked to on the air this morning. I was really struck. So they went in, and forgive me, I forget the name of the group. It was Turning Point USA. Turning Point USA went in, and they were talking to people last Friday at a Kamala Harris rally. So Turning Point USA goes in, and they're asking questions about what appeals to you, about what is it about Kamala Harris you like? What of her policies do you really like? And the quote that really just stuck with me is, I'm here for the vibe. I'm here for the vibe, man. Here for the vibe. And I'm like, what are we, 5 years old? What the hell is that? I mean, seriously. that is such, politically, that is, grossly, uh, I can't even find words to describe it. It's like some of us are living, some of us are adults behaving as adults most of the time, not always. Uh, yeah, I mean, one look around my office, you're an adult. It doesn't look that way. So, but I'm here for the vibe, and I thought, there are people I know who would say that to me. Here for the vibe, and I just, man, you have got to take a little more mature approach to to what's going on and what's happening rather than just being there for the vibe. I wonder, let's see what else this Politico says. This is a striking pivot from previous election cycles. Both sides in the U.S. presidential race are playing up economic programs that would allow workers to better balance their personal and professional lives. This is evidence of growing bipartisan support. Now, this is where I totally disagree with Politico. Again, those are the promises. That's not going to be the reality under a Kamala Harris campaign. It has not been the reality under Joe Biden. I don't have any reason to believe that that would be the reality under Kamala Harris. She is trying to redefine herself strictly for the benefit of the campaign. That is not redefining her political strategy. Let's understand the difference. There is a gross, significant difference between the campaign and what candidates say they will do versus the reality of what they will actually do and the policies that they have actually voted on, supported, been a part of. Two entirely different things. But this piece of Politico, it's showing how, much you got both sides coming together. Absolutely not. Not what I see, not at all. Don't believe it. I think those who believe that are going to be in for some serious disappointment. Let's go over to Breitbart this morning, talking about Kamala Harris. And the headline is Comrades. Kamala. It's spelled like not COM, but KAM. Comrades. Harris to announce Soviet style food price controls under the guise of gouging ban. And we talked about that on the program this morning. So, what some are saying is that she would be talking about price controls on food and grocery prices that is reminiscent of the Soviet Union. That's what she's going to unveil today. Now that remains to be seen. I'll wait and see. I don't want to go nuts right now. But this address today, and forgive me, I should have checked to see when that is. It will mark the first time that Kamala Harris offers a policy-focused speech since she became the Democrat nominee. And so she's promising to institute a first ever national ban on price gouging and price fixing. And again, Time magazine says that Harris plans to direct the Federal Trade Commission and other agencies to investigate and penalize big corporations that violate government rules in a mirror of the Soviet economy and the dictates that the Soviet Union had. So again, whether or not that's going to be the case, I will wait and see. But she is unveiling all of that today, and we'll see where it goes. So let's see what some of you are saying. First of all, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Thanks to those of you who are hitting the like button. Steve and David, I know you're here every day. A small number of you are, and it's a great place to grow what I'm doing each day. So thank you very much. Very much appreciated. David, I love is referring to PBS, the propaganda broadcasting system. Yeah, no. This is what happened when you have journalists who got their degree in journalism and politicians who got their degree in political science. Totally agree. Absolutely agree. Um, Steve said, I went to a school with a girl. I'm going to increase the size here for a moment. Makes it a little easier for me to read what you guys are saying. All right, here we go. Steve said, I went to school with a girl who wanted to become a journalist so she could change the world. I don't think she really understood what a journalist should do. There are a number of people who are that they want to change the world. And you find that to be, and studies have shown that's what they want to change the world. That's why they got into journalism versus I want to tell people what's going on. I want to inform people about events. You know, that's what a journalist has done historically. Um, not anymore. But they want to change the world, and that's why they're getting into journalism. And the um, and you see that. You see that. Look at what's happened to the legacy media. It's just absolutely incredible. Steve, I agree with you about breakfast. Rosie's special at Frying Pan. It is pretty good. It is. I do enjoy breakfast at Frying Pan. Um, David said, I always believed that it's easier to teach a farmer or whatever to be a journalist than it is to teach a journalist about farming or whatever. Don't have very high regard then for journalists, David. Neither do I. He went on to say, adulting is hard. This is why. This is why I prefer to. I'm not sure I understand. Be a pirate. That's what he's saying. This is why I prefer to be a pirate. Arr! And then Steve followed suit. So I want to thank you guys for being here. I really do appreciate it. If you hit that like button, I appreciate it even more. And I got an email from somebody yesterday because I mentioned on the fourth hour, forgive me, I don't recall the name right off the top of my head. I've got the email. And I said, I don't know if I'm going to continue doing the 6 a.m. hour via YouTube. You know, I do the 6 a.m. hour of the radio show. And I've got to tell you, as I go back and I look at the number of views of the fourth hour versus that 6 a.m. hour, I've still got a healthy number of views of people who are watching that 6 a.m. hour. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, during that 6 a.m. hour, I'm going to focus on the radio show. And I won't be engaging in conversation with the camera or with you like I do during the fourth hour. So during this hour, one of the things I love, David and Steve and everybody else, Sean is another one. I love seeing your reactions and your comments. And that's why I share them, react to them. Really, really appreciate that. However, during the radio show, I'm not looking at the screen. I am looking at the stack of stuff. I keep showing you I get, what's that, about an inch thick at least. So I got dozens and dozens of news stories that I share. I should count up how many. Someday it's in, 60, 70 news stories that I touch on. I don't go into more detail. Um, I think I'm gonna continue to do the 6 a.m. hour on YouTube. I'm just not gonna try to interact with folks or the camera. I'm just gonna, you know, it's up. I'm gonna wish folks good morning, and then boom, we'll start the radio show, and I'll leave it at that. So for those who are watching that video, I think it's gonna be, again, won't be as engaging as I hope this one will be. But again, I think I need your help in spreading the word and letting other people know about what we're doing. I'm going to take steps to get some more promos on the air. And Kim Commando had a piece actually um, following her digital minute today. And she was talking about some of the stuff she's doing online. And I thought, I want to go back, and she said something. She put it in such a way that really caught my attention. And I'll get some promos on the air and see what we can do to build those numbers. But I want to, I think we're off to a great start. And I'm really grateful to you guys for being here. So thank you so much. Also, want to wish you a wonderful weekend. Hit that like button before you leave, and we will leave it there for now. I will see you again on Monday. Or excuse me, I all day long today, I've been thinking today is Friday. And I just about did it again. I will see you tomorrow. I will show up for work tomorrow. I do know tomorrow is Friday, but what me and one of my coworkers just about 30 minutes ago, I told him, man, I'm so glad today is Friday. And he looks at me, I'm like, sorry, been doing that it's Thursday. I know that. So I will see you tomorrow. So long until then, and may God bless. God doesn't even know what day it is. Take take care.